What is a promise? And why was there a need for a promise from Jehovah? My name is Brian French, and this is Changing the Dialogue. In our world today, men and women in general have a very difficult time keeping their word. Much of what we see in the law and in our system of government is simply about people keeping their word. The necessity of words written on paper that bind two people together does not mean much if the two individuals are not integral enough to hold to what was first said, then written down. There have been many laws proclaimed by word of mouth and also written on stone tablets, papyrus, and paper, much of which is to ensure that people will give their word to follow these precepts, statutes, and commands. A stone tablet can be crushed, papyrus can decay, and paper can be burned into ashes. What do we have left when the words on the stone, papyrus, and paper are gone or destroyed? I find it fascinating that much of what we have handed down to us is simply a small fraction of all that has happened in the earth since the first man and woman. We record a great deal of what we discuss in our modern world today, but there are still many parts of the world that simply go on without record. We work to fill in the empty places so we can make sense of what has happened in the past. We decipher language the best we can so that we can take the fragments of what was recorded in stone and know something about our history. But what does it tell us about ourselves? I find that mankind in general does not keep his word. Today in our Christian ideology, much of the issues is that man is incapable of keeping his word. Notice, if you will, by the way, how I phrased my statement. I believe man is capable of keeping his word. He simply chooses not to. There would be no need for lawyers, contracts, law enforcement, citations, and the list goes on if mankind in general would simply do what he says he will do, according to the truth and what is right. How many times do we truly think about what we say to another person? How many times have we told a parent, spouse, child, relative, friend, co-worker, boss, that we would do something and then not do it? Honey, I'm going to mow the lawn today. Your wife comes home and the lawn is not mowed. And she asks, why? Most of the time, there's no real legitimate reason. I know people will say this is a silly example. My point is we blow this off, but we do these things just as much with important issues as well. We are simply so used to this type of behavior that it simply becomes the norm. When we read the account of Jehovah speaking with Abraham and Sarah about this promise, it is not done with great fanfare. The announcement is met with laughter from Sarah. A promise that a year from now, I will visit you and Sarah will have a son. What if Jehovah got tied up with other parts of the universe and just said, well, he has a son, Ishmael. That's fine. We will work with that. What if Jehovah got busy and wasn't listening when the Israelites called out from Egypt? The point being made is that the Father keeps his word. When he says that he will do this or that, no matter the size, he does it. The promise is not simply about saying that you will promise to do something. It is about being what you say you will do. When we use our language and say something by our speech, it is important that it is manifested into reality. Otherwise, it simply is not true. Isaac was born because the Father does what he says. Jesus brought the light of life because the Father does what he says. We can do the same because Jesus emulated his Father in this fashion and kept his every word. If we are heirs and co-heirs with Christ, then we must do the same by following Jesus in his example. A promise is not saying, I promise to do this or that. A promise is saying what you will do and living it every single day. Always remember, give love, give life, give Jesus.